Welcome to the Picky Girl Travels podcast, the show for Black women who want more out of life and to live it as they see fit. The message here is all about defying convention, embracing adventure, and regretting absolutely nothing. I'm your host, Azalea Borshade of PickyGirlTravelsTheWorld.com. Y'all know I am here for Black women living life on their terms, doing what they have always dreamed about. But a lot of us are letting fear get in the way of our happiness, and we need to chill out on that. That needs to stop. I see it literally every day between my clients, between the various forums I interact in online. Over and over, I see women talking about fear and how they're afraid and the things that they want to do that they won't do because they are afraid. Here are just a few I've seen recently. One woman says, I want to travel to Mexico, but I'm scared. Another, I'm thinking about renting out my house, but I'm scared of being a landlord. Here's another one. Ladies, I'm 2 seconds away from booking my first solo international trip to Jamaica and I'm nervous. Can someone please just tell me I will be okay? I want to travel more and do more things to make me happy, but I'm scared to actually take the step. I literally have the ticket up and am ready to purchase, but will not hit pay. See, I'm not making this stuff up, y'all. This one, they type this in all caps, just like this. I wish I wasn't scared of traveling. I think I would be scared, but more so bored to travel alone. That's an interesting thought. I am terrified of money. I don't even know where to begin to get myself in a position to leave. They're talking about moving abroad. I have no confidence in my budgeting skills. Sis need to talk to me. I can hook up. I'm ready to move to another country, but I'm extremely scared. America teaches nothing but negativity about other countries, and I don't know where I would be safe, happy, and prosperous. Like I said, these are just a few of the comments I see literally on a daily basis. When I see these kinds of comments, it makes me sad. It really does, because I think about how these women are missing out on the lives that they want to live. They're missing out on their dreams. And I know some of y'all are going to say, well, Adelia, it is dangerous out there. There's human trafficking, there's crime, there's, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And that is all true. But I have come to terms with the fact that safety is an illusion. We're not really safe anywhere. Whether because, when I lived in the United States, there were things I had to worry about, like being shot at a grocery store. There are things that I have to worry about traveling. There are things I have to worry about living here in Mexico. So yeah, you're right. It is dangerous, but here's the thing. Think about your everyday life. Dangerous things could happen to you. You could be shot, you could be robbed, you could be abducted, you name it. But does fear of those things keep you in your house? Does fear of those things keep you from going about your daily life? And if you answered no to that, you really have to ask yourself, why is it I'm afraid to do these other things, but I'm not afraid in my everyday life? What's the difference? Why is that? Because here's the thing. There is a difference between being aware of possible problems versus letting fear paralyze you and force you into a state of inaction. There are two different things there. So you can be concerned about safety issues. What I don't want is for you to let fear stop you from living your life. So when we think about our fears and the things we're scared of, we need to look beyond the fear itself, okay? We really need to look at, what are we going to do about it? Okay, because again, your everyday life, bad things could happen to you. So yeah, you're scared to travel, you're scared to invest, you're scared to do this thing. What are you going to do about it? Are you just going to stay scared? Are you just going to stay afraid? Or are you going to try to find a way to go beyond that? I think that's where the issue lies. We need to spend more time figuring out how we're going to fix the fear, how we're going to overcome the fear, how we're going to mitigate it, versus focusing so much on, I am afraid, I am scared to do this thing, I am scared to go this place. You know, over and over, we will say, I'm afraid to do X because of Y. Okay, so what are we going to do about it? We focus a lot on what might happen if we do this scary thing, right? We think about like, oh, I could move to Mexico and the cartels could kill me, you know, or whatever the fear is. And I'm not dismissing that fear, that concern. What I want you to think about is, how do you get beyond that? And one piece of that might be, instead of thinking about all of the bad things that could happen if I do this thing, what could happen if you don't? If you don't take that trip, if you don't move to that country, if you don't buy that investment property, if you don't invest money for retirement, what happens then? We never, and I say we, I'm sorry, you know, this is the royal we never really think about, we think about this bad thing will happen if I do this, but do we think about what is the consequence if I don't do this? Okay, what is the opportunity cost that we're paying when we let fear stop us? You know, so I saw a lot of this in 2020 at the height of the pandemic, where people were lamenting not taking a trip, like, you know, like, I wish I had done this thing. So that's an opportunity cost. When you let fear stop you from traveling, when you let fear stop you from moving abroad, when you let fear stop you from making those investments, you pay a cost there. You miss out on the experience. You miss out on, you know, the income that you can generate. But we never really think about, when we're letting fear stop us, we don't think about, well, this is what I'm going to pay when I let fear get in my way. Are we okay with that opportunity cost? You know, and that, I think for me, that, not that I ever, here's the thing, I was going to say, not that I remember being afraid. That's not necessarily true. Like, you know, I don't ever think about, I don't think personally in terms of being afraid or not afraid. For me, I focus on the opportunity cost. Am I okay with missing out on this opportunity? Am I okay with missing out on this income? Am I okay missing out on this adventure? That's where I focus. And a lot of times I am not okay with that. So even if I am afraid, I will go through with something because I don't want to pay the cost of missing out. I hope that makes sense. Starting really back in 2014, I looked at my life, and I've talked about this in other episodes. I looked at my life and I did not like the opportunity cost I was paying because of certain choices. And so in order to be happy, I started walking away from things that didn't serve me. And so, you know, I'll be the first to say, like, I knew I should have gotten a divorce long before I ever did. And yeah, there was probably fear that kept me there. But it got to a point that I was like, bump this, the opportunity cost I'm paying by being here and being unhappy, it's not worth it. So for me, like for me, the opportunity cost was my happiness. And I was done. Y'all can probably hear my neighbor using their blender. That's life in Mexico City. I was done paying that opportunity cost. So I walked away from a 20-year marriage that was not serving me, that was making me miserable. I then walked away from the country of my birth because I didn't feel fulfilled there. I couldn't live the life I wanted. I wasn't happy. And, there were safety concerns too. And eventually, last year, almost a year ago exactly, I walked away from a career that had really burned me out and was no longer serving me. So, this is what I mean about maybe the answer to moving past fear is not focusing so much on it, but instead focusing on the cost that we're paying when we let the fear stop us from acting. I left all of those things. And I'm not going to say I wasn't afraid. It's just my being fed up with the price I was paying outweighed any fear I still had at that point. And I can tell you, and I'm sure y'all can tell, my life is a whole lot better now. So for me, that was one of the best moves I think I've ever made in my life. With my financial coaching clients, I often see a lot of fear surrounding the idea of investing. And I know in our community in particular, we talk a lot about saving. There hasn't been much conversation about investing. I'm hoping to change that. And the thing is that, I see a lot of fear around investing. And historically, our community has not been one that has promoted that or focused on it. More of the focus has really been on saving. But I'm here to tell you, saving is not enough. I've said that more than once. I'll say it again. Saving is not enough. Investing in the stock market, investing in real estate, investing in whatever it is you're going to invest in, that grows your money at a rate that savings just can't do. And there are only so many hours in the day for you to work. So here's the thing. I have clients that are afraid to invest, and I help them see that if you invest, you can get the financial independence, the financial freedom, the financial confidence, whatever you want to call it, to do the thing that you always wanted to do. If that was quit your job, quit your man or your woman, or, move to another country, this is a way that you can achieve that. We just got to get past that fear. Okay. Because again, we don't want fear to stand in the way of us living our dreams. And maybe we don't think of it in those terms. Maybe we think of things in a very, very narrow focus of, I am afraid to travel to Mexico, and not see that fear is really bigger than that. And that fear is keeping us from pursuing things. I don't know. Okay. So, what other ways are there that maybe we can move beyond this fear? I'm a big proponent of kind of digging deep and asking more questions. So when you find yourself in a situation where you are about to utter those words, I'm afraid to do X because of Y, ask yourself, where is that fear coming from? Like, what am I really afraid of? Is it I'm afraid to go to Mexico? Or is it I'm afraid of the uncertainty? Like traveling by myself, things will be out of my control. I don't know what will happen every day. And so is that what you're afraid of? Are you afraid of uncertainty? Does uncertainty make you uncomfortable? Because I think once you pinpoint the source of the fear, then it's going to be easier to figure out a way to work around it. Is it that you are afraid of failing? Like, I'm afraid to, invest in this rental property. I'm afraid to put money in the stock market. Are you afraid of failing at something? Because, what do they say? Fail is the first attempt at learning or something like that. I don't know if that's right. Are you afraid of being successful? I know this is an issue I had to work through on some stuff. If things, because again, do we ever think about what if things turn out right? Are you afraid of what then happens when you become successful? The more responsibility you have, the more expectations put on you. These are just questions to ask yourself. Is the fear about what could go wrong? But what about the things that could go right? Again, it seems like we never spend time on that. And I am not, I'm not guilt-free here. But one thing I will say is that I kind of approach things as like preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best. And I think that helps me not get stuck in all of the bad things that can happen. I can also anticipate, well, hey, what if things go right? So I feel like that often makes me more comfortable to do things that might be risky, things that might be a little scary, is I'm hoping things go right. But just in case they don't, I've already kind of worked through a plan for what do I do if this bad thing happens. Here's something when I am talking to women who, they're afraid to travel solo. And I find that a lot of that fear is kind of centered on, well, what do I do if these things go wrong? Like not being prepared for the unexpected. It gets back to that uncertainty thing. But if we're going to focus on these are the bad things that could happen, let's go deeper into that. But okay, if we're going to focus on the bad stuff, so maybe you're like, yeah, Delia, bad shit can still happen to me. All right, so if we're going to focus on the bad things, let's go all the way there. What is the worst thing that could happen? Literally make a list. Then ask yourself, can I control these things? I think you'll find that quite a bit of them you can't control. So then look at your list and what are the things that I can control? Okay. And how can I mitigate those things? So if the fear is, I don't want to travel solo because I could be kidnapped into sex slavery. That could happen in the United States, by the way. I believe Houston was the #1 place in the United States. So let's just remember that. But let's say that is the fear. Okay, so what parts of that can you control? You can't control the traffickers grabbing you, but you can control where you go. You can control whether or not you make yourself an easy mark. And by that, I mean like you're on the street, but you're not paying attention to where you're going. Your face is in your cell phone, that kind of thing. So focus on the things that you can control. And develop a plan, a strategy, like, okay, so the sex traffickers can't sneak up on me and snatch me off the street. When I'm on the street, I'm going to make sure that I'm alert. There you go. You've got a plan in place. Don't stress about the things that are out of your control because you can't control them. So why waste time and energy stressing on them? And again, if you're thinking to yourself, that's a great idea, but I'm just too afraid. I can't do it. Okay, are you all right with the opportunity cost you're paying when you choose to let fear stop you? Is that what you want? Are you okay with that? If it's not what you want, you do have to ask yourself, what do I want? You know, that's that's really the come to Jesus moment I had with myself in 2014. I really had to do some reflection and ask myself, if I continue to go the way that my life is going, is this what I want? And for me, the answer was a resounding no. And so I made those changes. It's always, it's okay to do things scared. I think when people talk about overcoming the fear, they make it sound like you will defeat the fear will never be an issue again. Well, that's not true. There are tons of us out here that are doing the things that we want to do, but we still have fear in our mind. We are still afraid. We are still concerned. I think the idea that you have to overcome your fear, you have to eliminate it, I don't think that's how it works. My plea to you is just to do it anyway. Seems like this was a really short episode. I don't know if it was, but what'd you think? If you are watching this on YouTube, you can always leave comments there. You can use the link in the description if you would rather leave me a voicemail, or you could DM me on social media, Twitter, Picky Girl Travels. There is no I in girl because Twitter didn't have enough characters. On Facebook and Instagram, it is Picky Girl Travels, spelled just like it sounds. Is there a topic that you would like to see discussed here on the podcast? If there is, please let me know. As always, I want to thank everybody for their continued support. If you have not done so already, subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening on a podcatcher, you could do it there. If you're watching this on YouTube, you could subscribe there. Another way to show your support of the show is to leave a review, to like this episode, to share it with other women. If you would like to support the show financially, you can use the link in the description to become a patron or to buy me a hot chocolate. Until next time.